So addiction is something that ruins your life.
How to get out of it.
Do not ignore it.
I always say sometimes you need to hit the rock bottom before you can fly.
Like if the person has a generalized anxiety or depression, you cannot just treat addiction. You have to do both.
It doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Hi, my beautiful people. I'm your skin therapist, Kate, and this is my podcast, Get Under My Skin. Today, once again, I am with wonderful mental health specialist, Inna Popko, and we continue discussing such an important topic on substance abuse. If you haven't watched it yet, please go back, and there is 2 previous episodes that we opened up this topic a little more in depth. From finding yourself in it, how to recognize where you're at, or the different types of it, how it affects your relationship, and etc. But for today, welcome, Inna.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here once again with me.
Of course, thank you for doing it.
Absolutely. It is my pleasure. And I think I can't just disregard and ignoring those important niches and topics that people do not talk about it. But also, the reason me and I continue doing this is because the feedback that we get. It's not always publicly, which is okay. You know, not everybody decides to talk about it. But more importantly, even if it's one-on-one or you hear from other people or even them watching it, it's already a big sign. So we're going to continue it unless something else happens. Yeah. So for today, we discussed already the types of it, how to find yourself in it, or how the society affects it, or how society sees the perspectives of it, how it affects the relationship, how it affects kids, how it affects the work. But what we didn't talk about is how to get out of it. What to do when you on that stage, okay, I do have a problem, or my loved one has a problem. What are the steps to take to try to your way out?
It's a good question. Everyone wants to know it.
100%.
Everyone wants to know how to treat addiction, how to get out of it. Big thing I will say, first of all, you need to know ways how to not to get into it, but we probably covered some of it in the previous episodes. And once you in it and once you aware of it, that there is a problem, and I wish I can get out of it. I wish I can cut out my drinking or using. That's the one thing when the person realizes that it's one case scenario, and when your loved one is facing the substance abuse problem, it's a little bit different story too. And as we talked about it a little bit in the previous episode, what we usually do when we realizing that our loved one facing the addiction, we trying to help, trying to cure it, trying to judge it, fix it,
or maybe ignore it.
Yeah, good catch. Do not ignore it. That's first thing. Do not ignore it. If your loved one, if you suspect, right? First, you may be not sure. If you feeling like your partner or your loved one may be facing the substance use issues, do not ignore it.
Well, let's be honest here. I do not know any person who internally didn't know. We always have this gut feeling. And if you already have a thought in your head, because you're not just gonna, from one day going out, think, this person has an issue, unless there was reasons of it, unless there are certain behaviors that cause you that thought, unless there is some patterns that cause you that thought. So that thought in your head has a place to be.
Yeah. I will say trust yourself. Trust
Exactly.
yourself.
100%.
If you have a feeling, go there, explore your feelings, like feel yourself, sometimes it's not a thought. Sometimes it's a physical sensations. Sometimes it's a physical discomfort. Sometimes our body talking to us because our nervous system can feel before we can put words on it.
Right.
If you're feeling like something is not right, listen to yourself. First, listen to yourself. Do not ignore yourself, okay? Don't go there to, deal with other person's issues and blame him or her
Right, right,
or
right.
try to help or fix. Go take care of yourself. Get yourself, like, what can
Settle,
I say? Yeah, what can I
think
say? Go get a therapy.
Right,
I
right.
mean, it's ideal. Go ask advice, seek help, support from a therapist. It's the right place to be. You'll get your answers for your
100%.
questions. Yeah. If you can't, use your support system. Talk to your mom if you have a good relationships, dad, siblings, friends. I mean, I know, I see the smile on you.
But this
Yeah,
is actually one
it's
of the
scary one. Yeah, yeah.
the scary one, and
But you
this
have
is
to.
you have to once. But this actually was one of my questions that I wanted to ask you is the barrier that people facing when they try to get out of it. And I feel like one of the barriers is that shame and how
Yeah.
hard it is to talk to somebody. Therapist maybe a little easier, I would say, because
I don't
it's
know.
a third.
But you have to get there.
But
Of
you
course,
you do
once
have to
you're
get
there.
there.
Yeah.
Once you're
Once you're there, it's easier.
Yeah.
Because this person will help you.
Right.
But let's be honest, let's just say it. A lot of people have difficulties to get into therapy.
Yeah.
Like,
It's scary.
it's
scary
scary
to
and-
face your own your
and,
own.
and, no, and just they think, like, today my friend called me.
Right.
And we were talking about some friend stuff,
Right.
sharing. It's like support therapy, and she would say, "Well, I just wanted to ask your advice. The therapy is for depressed people when it's really bad." I'm like, stop. Okay, what is this thing
Hold
with
on
depression?
one second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, you have a situation in life, any situation, you feel like you wanna preserve your privacy, confidentiality, you don't feel like sharing with parent friends. And yes, it's understandable because it's a vulnerability issue. You can get hurt from it. Go ahead. Like, one consultation. It's confidential. Nobody gonna know that you went there. Only you and your therapist.
100%.
So that's one thing. That's for the person who realizes that your loved one might be facing a substance abuse issue. But if you are the person that's thinking, well, maybe I should do something about using, the same answer.
Same answer.
Therapy.
Same answer.
Therapy, yes, but again, it's very difficult. I understand. It's not easy to do this first step to get into therapy. Here, with a person who is facing substance abuse, it's a good thing to ask for help your partner. Like, honestly, come to your partner, sit down, and talk. Ask for help. Like, just say, hey, I think there is problem I'm facing. Please help me. And then you together can start working on it. But unfortunately,
So this actually combines a few things that I wanted to ask you. First, because you said talk to your partner, right? Talk to your partner. Like, I need help, and please help me to go through this. I've known people, I've seen that. I think it's pretty common when the addiction happens inside of, relationship. Um, First is, so my question was originally is, what are likelihood of actually getting unaddicted or recovering from addiction versus pausing it? Is it the true way to recover from it? And the second thing is I've seen is when partner comes to the another partner and says, well, yeah, I do have a problem. Help me to get out of it, but I'm working on it. I promise this is going to be better. I'm recovering. I'm sober. And then it truly, and the partner is so involved in it, they try to help and save and go through with them through that. But then it comes down to actually pausing it because the relapses happen again and they happen worse. And they continue coming to their partner and saying, asking them, please be with me, please help me. I need you to be here for me to recover. I can't do it without it. But it just all kind of this circle of all of those people really involved.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts
Well,
on that?
As I said before about the partner has a right to refuse.
Right.
The partner has a right to do what he thinks is the right thing to do. And again, self-care is the first thing. You have to do a self-care.
And we're not talking about self-care, just, getting nails done or
No,
the hair done. Because I
no.
feel like this is a big misconception,
It is.
I'm doing this and that, but I'm not feeling well. Still. Self-care is actually taking time for yourself.
Yeah. And it's up to partner how invested she or he gonna be in this battle of addiction. And there is a plan, like couples therapy. That's where it can take place. That's where you can decide if you're working on it together. If I want to be involved in it, I might not feel strong enough, to do this. I might not want to do it, and that's okay.
Right.
Your partner coming for you to ask help, that's what he or she needs to do. But then you need to do your part. You need to see how this are like relationships working for you. What it's so many different components in it, and also. I like to approach all of this healing process of addiction from a little different angle. I always go deeper and see what else in there. We do not fight an addiction only strictly. There is something else in there too. So it needs to be like several things going on at the same time. Like if the person has a generalized anxiety or depression, you cannot just treat addiction. You have to do both. And then you have to work with family members. You have to work with a partner. Partner needs support. How he comes to you for support asking, hey, I have addiction. I need your help. Please support me. Yes, I will support you. Who's going to support me? You need to get support. You need to get help too. It's not like I need your help. It means that you're gonna do everything for me and
just keep understanding or keep
I'm just asking you to suffer.
Right.
Let's suffer together. Yeah, we can do that for some period of time. I can invest in suffering, but everyone decides, for himself, and independent on what's your situation in life, and
100%.
It's all individual, but reach for help. That's the first step, and of course you can get rejected. That's why people have a trouble to reach for help because of fear of rejection.
Right. I mean, it's just the this is just a part of life, I guess, and all of this not obstacles, like the subjects of our life, um, get rejected all the time. I get rejected all day long. You know, you can get rejected on the streets, at work, in the family, and all of that. But the feeling of rejection is obviously one of the key.
And it's up to you
Problems,
what
yeah.
you're gonna do with it.
Right.
You know, I'm following two people on Instagram and YouTube. I like them. They are recovering from substance abuse, and they have their blogs. I really like them. One of them, Laura Clary, I think, and her husband
Laura
Steven.
Cray.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
Actually read both of her books.
I love it. Yeah.
Helped me a lot. And especially when I was in the relationship like that, and just understanding the part of the addiction, and just followed her journey in general. You know, her having 2 children and them
Now
both
too,
being in
I
addicts.
followed her when she was pregnant with the first one.
Yeah. Oh, I followed actually her before. I knew her from like just funny videos before anything. So it was very interesting to follow all this journey and continue looking at her journey. I think she's phenomenal in general, such a strong woman. But yes, that
Yes.
part.
And
that
you know
part.
what I wanted to say, why I mentioned them?
Yeah.
What struck me, what Steve said one time. I just remember this one episode from his, I don't know, shorts or anything. What Steve said back in the day when they still were together, you know, they were together back and forward.
Right.
Like, and he said, he's like, I have a right to say it because I am like a person who affected by substance abuse. And he said the best thing you can do, like what the partner should do in order to help addict to, you know, recover
During the journey.
or do, yeah. And Steve said, you know, the best thing Laura did for me, she broke up with me. He said it was so painful, but he said if she would not,
It would continue enabling.
it will continue enabling. He was like, it was the very spirit of my time, but only when she left me, I was able to, you know, to give, it gave me strength or whatever he was talking about. But I just remember, I'm like, wow, if he's saying that, he has a right to say that. He's been there, you know. And unfortunately, that's sometimes how it works.
I always say sometimes you need to hit the rock bottom before you can fly. And that's one of the things. Until something major happens, we don't always take the action to change anything.
Yeah. But major is different for everyone.
100%.
For Steve was major, Laura leaving him. Because
losing
there
her.
was different instances in his life. They
Oh,
were
yeah.
true. It was many bottom rocks. But
Yeah,
nothing
yeah.
stopped. Like nothing helped to, you know, stop
Like the-
using. Only when she left him.
Absolutely.
I mean, it helped their relationships.
Right.
Later they got together after he got better, but they have their own journey, very complicated too.
Very true. And I think all the stories are not, you can compare one to another. You know, every story is so different. Every story has different backgrounds. But that's coming back to the question, is there true recovery?
Everyone
From it.
wants to know it. So,
But that's something I want
yeah.
to highlight there.
Okay,
Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
can only. It's a very professional question, and different professional specialists have different opinions about it. My personal opinion that you can cure it, but I'm not going straight for addiction. I'm a trauma therapist. I'm going straight for trauma, treating other symptoms. And going for the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's my opinion. I believe that there's something else that causing that, like another symptoms, like addiction. So I believe when you treat the cause and then you acquire new skills, how to live life differently, then your brain actually can be reprogrammed and use different coping strategies. But it's a long journey. It's a very complex treatment. There's a lot of things needs to be together, and right now we do have a lot of resources like neuroscience, brilliant modalities that exist to reprogram brain, train your brain. It's all, of course, not always paid with medical insurance, unfortunately, and this is another
Topic that can be discussed going on.
because resources, it's all can be very expensive. You have to like
Be
have,
ready for that.
yeah, like neurofeedback, psychotherapy, body medical, for sure. You have to trauma therapy, all kinds of trauma therapy. Neurofeedback are good for trauma therapy, and trauma involves all of the symptoms: depression, anxiety, nightmares, you name it. It's so big, and,
Right.
and then substance abuse is one of the copings that people use. Yeah, psychedelics are very big right now. There is a lot of research.
What is it? The microdosing people do.
There is a
That's
lot.
I've heard about. Like,
It's a whole different it's a whole
Yeah.
different story about psychedelics, but there's a lot of research that been done and going on right now, how it can be effective on trauma treatment and substance abuse. Same with neurofeedback. There is research that saying, there are researchers saying that it can be very effective with substance abuse issues. So if you want to help, like if you want to get off of it, and if you are really, really dedicated, there is a possibility. And support, community, it's a tremendous healing power. But unfortunately, with substance abuse, that's what getting ruined.
So it's interesting that you said about even psychedelic therapy and etc. That kind of lead me to a thought: do we truly recover, or do we just forward this addiction to another? Because I'll just give an example, right? Even like, not to go too far, microdosing, I've heard people just stick to it. It helps, and I'm just going to continue doing this. Or I've known people that, let's say, from substance abuses, transfer their addiction to, let's say, sex addiction or shopping or something. They're just forwarded to another way of it. Yeah, some of them are not as harmful, and if it doesn't hurt anybody, I mean, obviously you can continue doing it, and it doesn't affect your family, maybe budget and etc. But what are your thoughts on that?
We're all addicted to something. Like addiction, it's a
We're all addicts, right?
yeah.
That's one way
We
or another.
addicted to our mom's milk when we born. Like we were attached to another human being. Like so addiction is something that ruins your life. Something that dysfunctional, something you are not benefiting from. And something needs to be placed on that spot. You taking away addiction, you need to put something there. The puzzles need to be all
Or that
placed.
piece, yeah.
Yes. So you it depends what you're gonna put there. You're gonna put a sex addiction, it's gonna be sex addiction. But if you're gonna replace it with the new skills that your brain learns during neurofeedback, then it's gonna stay there. Then you can regulate yourself, because addiction, it's really regulating your nervous system, your stress responses. That's why it appears. That's it. And it's just getting more difficult for the brain with the time to get off of it, because there's so many brain cells born with this information. Like the neurons in your brain, they talking to each other like, oh, this is the thing that
Makes you feel good.
yeah, let's use it. And then they spread, and then like, oh yes, why should we do something different if it worked?
If it works,
Like he's alive, okay, he's not feeling that bad, but he's alive,
Right.
the brain needs the body to carry him, it.
right.
So there is it's not,
It doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
yeah, it's not if it can be healed, like cured, or like, I don't even think it's okay. I'm not gonna go deep in there, but if you address the source, then yes, it can be healed. If you address the trauma, yes, it can be healed. Depending on what degree the addiction is, depending how your body got affected already, it's all individual. But I believe the treatment exists.
And as long as you're replacing, again, just to kind of highlight what you said, with proper care for yourself, with proper ways to cope with your stress, to find different ways to replace that empty piece that you're trying to taking away, then we all have chances to be there where we want to be.
Yeah.
And we all want to be loved. We all want to be understood. We all want to feel needed, cared for, and in many different ways. And not to feel alone.
Yeah.
That's another thing that would be good for us actually to talk about it. I feel like the society becomes very lonely, and that's why we have a lot of different problems, including the substance abuse and in different ways.
Yeah.
But for today, thank you so much, Inna. I really appreciate it. Always a pleasure. And thank you guys for tuning in as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the dingly thing. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. And I love you all as always. Goodbye.